Welcome to MLSsoccer.com's Playoff Central presented by Samsung Galaxy. I'm your host, Jason Segini. With me, Andrew Wiebe. We are going to give you your fantasy advice ahead of the conference finals. Remember, only 4 teams left in the MLS playoffs, so you don't have a lot to choose from. We're going to give you some idea of who we like and who we don't like in those games. The first game, of course, will be Saturday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Kansas City heading to Houston. That means a 2:15 roster lock. And of course, Andrew, limited trades going on for the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, look, hopefully you picked the right teams. Hopefully you picked who was going to advance. We tried to predict that for you. You'll only get 6 transfers this round, 4 before that second leg, so make sure you keep that in mind as you go here. As far as Kansas City and Houston, you have the obvious suspects. Look, most of your teams are going to be made up of 8 or 9 of these guys, but I think it's probably those 2 or 3 others that you choose that maybe takes you away from the pack and perhaps makes the difference. For me, the back lines are the obvious picks in Houston. Not a lot of goals going to be coming either team's way. 3 goals in 3 matchups this year. We've seen Sporting KC players, Aurelien Collin, Jimmy Nielsen. Those have been big plays. They will stay big plays, but I think you should probably look at guys like Chance Myers, Sestanovic. What can they do going forward? Perhaps get some bonus points. And then up top for Kansas City, I think Teal Bunbury could be a good play. I expect him to come in for Claudio Bieler. He had some chances against New England. He did not convert. Can he do it this time around? Not a lot of forward options for you in either game. And then on Houston's side, I think Warren Creavalle is a great play. He's going to be in the midfield, but he'll get you those bonus points as a defender. He could be good. I would stay away from the forward duo of Giles Bars and Will Bruin. I think both of them carrying Knox, probably going to have trouble with that KC back line.
All right, I agree with Andrew. I don't expect a lot of goals. I actually think this game's going to end up 0-0. I'm steering clear of the attackers altogether. If you have Zuzi, if you have Davis, those guys are fine plays. They're going to get you attacking bonuses.
Boniek Garcia, probably a good one too.
Another one. They're going to get you the attacking bonuses. They're going to get the crosses and stuff. But if a goal comes, I actually probably see it coming from defenders. We've seen it for Kansas City. It's going to be a set-piece situation. You want Colin in your lineup. I like Myers over Sanovic, if you can only pick one of them, just because I like the matchups on his side, and he has Graham Zuzi out there to combine with as well. Moving on to the other game, it is on Sunday, Real Salt Lake hosting the Portland Timbers. If there are going to be goals, Andrew, it's probably coming from this game.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. One big thing to look at, though, and you need to follow this story over the course of the week, Alvaro Saborio left that LA match with a hip flexor injury. He did not look good on the sideline. If he is out, that really curtails RSL's attack. It also curtails your options in fantasy. One guy, though, you probably do want to pick up. Somebody didn't advise against doing it for this last leg. 11 points for Javier Morales. Got to be honest, I didn't do it either, but he's probably a guy you want to look at. He has 2 goals and an assist in 2 matches against Portland this year. Another guy a little bit off the radar, perhaps, João Plata, probably one of the number 1 candidates to come in for Saborio. A goal and 2 assists for him against Portland this year.
All right, I would say this as far as the Real Salt Lake attack goes. If Saborio is not in the lineup, I would worry about them. And I'd also think it's going to be Sandoval or Garcia that comes in for Sabo, so you have the big player up top. The fact, though, is we don't know which one it would be. That leaves a lot of questions. You don't want to be stuck with a guy who's not playing up top in this without a lot of players to choose from. So for me, when I look at this game, I actually think this is another low-scoring game. I'm sticking with guys like Donovan Ricketts in goal. Rodney Wallace, I think, is a player everyone should have. Footy Danzo, who I told you to pick up last week, and I hope you did because you scored a goal. You want to get into name calling. Who didn't pick up Footy Danzo?
Pa Moduka, I don't know.
And then, of course, Will Johnson. He takes their set pieces. He takes their PKs. If it's a close game, you want those guys on your team because they could be difference makers in this. Andrew, as far as guys to stay away from in this game, what are you looking at?
Well, we talked about it. Those forwards, you got to take a chance there probably. On your side, yeah, 2 low-scoring games, but you've got to populate your midfield and forwards somehow. So look around, see who you think is going to have a good game. I told you to stick away from Houston. I think Ryan Johnson could be a decent play, but apart from that, you just don't know who's going to play up top for either team.
I'll tell you this. I'm playing 1 forward this week, and it's probably going to be Ryan Johnson. I'm not confident in any of the other forwards. I think more points are going to come from the defensive side of the ball in fantasy. So there's your advice for me. If you're on Team Segini, you can definitely take that and move on. Andrew, we talked about it. You make the difference in fantasy, especially when it comes to head-to-head matchups and playoffs, by picking the right captain. Who are you looking at as captain for your team?
Well, I'm going number 1. I told you, Javier Morales. I think there are goals in that game, and if they come, they're going to come via Morales. He's also primed for bonus points. Number 2, Aurelian Kalin. If you haven't been playing him this postseason, you probably haven't been winning, frankly. He's a goal machine. He scored the only goal in Houston this year, a header off a throw-in. So that's a good bet for you as well. And then Diego Valerio. We saw the magic he was able to pull off against the Sounders. Even in a limited time, I think he's a great bet for you. Also had a goal in that U.S. Open Cup match against RSL.
All right, here's the 3 I'm looking at, and I'm going to differ a little from Andrew. I like the Portland Timbers in this matchup, especially if Sabo's not there. Rodney Wallace is the guy to put your faith in. 1, he's a defender, so if there is a shutout, and I think there might be, I think it will be a low-scoring game, he would get points there. He's also looked very good in the playoffs, combining and going forward. You've seen him getting close to goal, getting assists, so a lot of points to come from Rodney Wallace. After that, Darlington Nagbe over Diego Valeri, and here's why. Valeri's been coming off in the 60th minute because he's coming back from those injuries. In the altitude of Salt Lake, I think that plays in as well. So Nagbe gets to benefit from Valeri's passing while he's in there, and then he gets to take the central attacking role when he leaves. I like him. 3rd has to be Aurelian Cullen. He's been a juggernaut in the playoffs. You can't go wrong with putting him in there. I think they have a great chance of shutout as well. And, of course, he scored a goal in the last 2 games. All right. That is all we have. Don't forget, you can tweet at either of us or at MLS Fantasy. If you need any more advice headed into the weekend. And stay tuned to MLSsoccer.com's Playoff Central, presented by Samsung Galaxy, for all your playoff coverage.